Cheesy hosts from the cheesy state, the history of Wisconsin horror hosts. Yes.
Yes. Toasted cheese or just regular cheese?
Well, some of the hostess have been toasted.
I have toasted, yes.
And there was cryptosis, but that's another story.
Some of those hosts were toasted while they were doing the shows.
Some of them might have been. I don't know. Toulouse comes to mind, but
Yeah.
where is he anyway? We're looking for you, Toulouse. Who knows? We might find the ever disappearing Frelsky.
Yeah. Popular.
You think he'd make a big comeback now? Mephisto is getting all kinds of offers now. Did you know that?
Wow, I did not
Oh,
know that.
for sure. His phone's been lighting up. We've been talking several times this week, and I'm supposed to go visit him in Madison and find out what goes
that
on.
would be fun.
Great.
It will be fun, and you don't want to miss cheesy hosts from the cheesy state.
Right.
The history of Wisconsin horror hosts.
There's been a lot because Wisconsin's got a lot of big cities.
And a lot of cheese.
A lot of cheese.
Yeah, that's all right though, isn't it?
No,
You're kind of sort of the Formaggio Grande of the downtown now, aren't you?
No,
I heard stories.
I'm a cheese curd. I love cheese curds too.
Well, that's very good.
Yeah.
All right, ghoulies, let's get right into it now.
Yeah.
This very candid interview with a very, very cool guy named Dick Flanagan, who was the man who was Mephisto. All right, ghoulies, we'll see you next time on Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theater. And remember, you can't polish a cheese curd.
No.
That's a good question. I have to say that because the Inferno, the way it started was a guy named Ferdy Mattioli in Madison, Wisconsin. He sold TV sets, electronics, appliances, things like that, I guess. He was the first one who sponsored the Inferno, and that's how it began. The station manager at WMTV in Madison was the first host of the show. And he moved, he went up to Wausau. The program, anyway, somebody else in the station took over the show as host of it. and then he left. And in the meantime, I had gotten the opportunity to help these guys do some stuff off camera, and I'd gotten to know them pretty well. Well, when the second guy left, it turned out that Ferdy Mattioli was diagnosed with terminal cancer. He called his brother, Lenny, in from Chicago, I think, to just liquidate the business. But Lenny got into Madison. He decided he was going to make a go of the show. Ferdy had since, I think, moved to Arizona at that time. So Lenny decided to try to make a go of it, brought the show back. Then they asked me, because everybody else was gone, would I host it? And I said, you know, you pay me? Sure. But I was given the opportunity to have a lot of fun doing it. And that's why I think I enjoyed doing it for as long as I did. But that's how it became Lenny's Inferno, and that's how I got the opportunity to host the show. And it was just a really strange set of coincidental circumstances, really. We had so much fun. There were times when I thought we should have paid them to let us do it. Because, quite honestly, I was fortunate enough to work in Madison, Wisconsin at a time when it was a golden age of talent, period. There were a lot of people in the area who were so talented. And I got to know them because I got the opportunity to do voice talent for radio. And I'd worked with a lot of these people. So from time to time, I'd invite them, you want to come on the Inferno, do a character, and we'll do some shtick. And to me, it was always ensemble. It was never a matter of stand-up. I would have lasted maybe 30 seconds doing stand-up anything. But it's that ensemble, and it's that give and take, and that, you know, the dynamic of a back and forth situation, and then all of the things that we did with that made that show go. So I owe a lot of thanks to a lot of people, but it was having that opportunity to bring a lot of people on. And we tried to add it up one time, and I think that we figured out that somewhere year 3 that we had over 400 different people in front of a camera on that program. And we didn't care who they were, just have fun doing it. And I was so lucky. I was so lucky to have the opportunity to do that. But I think that kept the show fresh. That's what made it fun to do, quite honestly. Well, I think that the old 45 was probably the time when these shows became out as movies. And I think it was titled the Universal 77 Horror Package, and we got this thing. And it had every one of those black and white classic horror movies. And that, to me, was the best product that we ever could have had. And we had the opportunity to run them twice. And boy, I mean, we would have worn them out. But I grew up with some of that stuff, and I remember how good it was. And in retrospect, to this day, I still think that was some of the best movie making you could possibly do. What was really incredible about it to me, too, was that these things weren't high budget. They really weren't, but they created an atmosphere, a genre. They really did. And almost everything that was done since then became, in my opinion, a bit of a takeoff on the ground that they broke. But there's no doubt in my mind that that's the best package that we ever had. And to this day, I still think that they're some of the best movies that were ever made. I would have the opportunity to go out in makeup and be Mr. Mephisto and do it live. But these were usually requests made to one I remember, for some reason, Edgewood College. They had one of these things where they had a horror thing, and they would put up all of these haunted house, stuff like that, and it was all for charity. And then they would call me up and they would say, would you be willing to come out here and do a guest appearance? Well, who's going to turn that down? Because the reason they're doing this is for all the right reasons. And I couldn't say no to this. But it was things like that that happened. I know that on the show itself, we had the opportunity to do a lot of promotional work for various people who would call Lenny up, and he would say, fine, it's okay with me, ask Dick. I'm never going to say no to that. And they would come out, they would do whatever it was that they were doing. What I remember, when in particular, we had a salesperson who was the biggest University of Wisconsin band fan in the world. And he got to know Mike Leckrone, who was the band director over there at the time. And I think he'd only been there about 3 years. And they were going to go from Mills Hall, which held 400 people, into the Coliseum, which held an enormous amount of people. And he asked me if I'd be willing to have Mike and some of the kids from the band on to promote that fact that they were making the move. And I said, sure, it'd be great. I'd love to work with these guys. And I mean, that was a dream come true, because first of all, Mike is the nicest guy in the world. He really is. And he didn't need anything but a scenario set up. and he'd just slide right through it. But the kids he brought were really remarkable. These kids were something special. And we turned them loose on that set, and it was, to this day, I still think that's some of the most fun I had. They abused Mephisto beautifully. They really did. Put it this way, I said this before, it was, we must have thrown 1,000 pies on the Inferno, and I never threw one. What's that tell you? And these guys took advantage of that. They really did. But as a matter of fact, I was even in his band concert once as Mephisto, and that was a treat. But, how can you not, to me, like I said, sometimes, Lenny, how much do I have to pay you to be able to do this a couple of more years with these guys? It was really fun, but it made a difference. And for that reason alone, I was, very satisfied. But I still had fun, and that was important. Okay. Well, first of all, I was in Columbus, Ohio, and I was inducted into the Horror Hound Hall of Fame. And the only thing I could think of when I got up there to accept the award was, what am I doing here? I never in my wildest dreams ever considered the fact that I would ever have that kind of recognition, or that the Inferno would be that recognized. It never occurred to me for 1 minute. So I was really a stranger in a strange land in Columbus, Ohio. And when they told me that there were 10,000 people who showed up for that thing, I was blown away. But I got to admit, I said it then and I'll say it again, I have never been so impressed in my life with some of the people that I met there. The talent was enormous. Some of these people, their accomplishments, even though they were horror hosts, it was special. They were some of the nicest people I ever met. And the other thing that really struck me was the camaraderie between them and the mutual respect that they had. You don't often see that in a professional level in something as big as that. You really don't. I remember I said this when I was making my little speech up there, because I'm not going to write anything. I mean, what am I going to do? But I said the only Hall of Fame that I ever wanted to be in when I was growing up was the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, because I loved to play ball. And I wasn't that bad. However, I was told at one time that the one thing I had going against me was a lack of major league talent. That probably hurt my chances somewhat. I always used to like to say, well, I did try out for the Cardinals at one time. I was there for a cup of coffee, and the coffee was still hot when I left. I was gone before the coffee got cold, if that gives you any sense of how I fit into the scheme of things on a major league level. But again, the Inferno, as far as I was concerned, we did our job. We were there to sell the client's product. We did that. We were there to keep people interested in doing the show. I tried the best I could to keep people interested by the way I allowed other people to come on and help me. And a lot of times, one of the best compliments I ever got was the one reason a lot of people watched it was they never knew what we were going to do. And I can honestly say that more than half the time, we didn't know what we were going to do. So it was really a treat. It was fun. To this day, I humbly accepted that award. I still don't know what I was doing there. For all the fun that we had doing it, and all the people that I thought that I should have to thank, and I can't remember who all of them are, but they were very much a part of anything that I won. And I won that award for them as much as myself. The one person who wasn't there that I wish he could have been was the voice in the box, who was a friend of mine. He was the other staple on that show from day one. And the beautiful part of the way he did it was that how much fun can you have with somebody you never see? All you hear is his voice. But the beauty of that was that he was so talented that left him free then to come onto camera as how many other different people that he played. And nobody knew it. It was wonderful. Yeah, it was fun. And again, that trip to Columbus was something else. I really, really enjoyed that, and I sure appreciated it.
are, Ghoulies, and here we are for a very, very special YouTube broadcast of Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theater with our very special guest, not seen, by the way, in 30 years, the one and only Memphisto. How you doing tonight?
When you yell like that, when we start, you frighten me.
Am I
It's just,
scaring you?
yes,
I'm sorry.
a little bit.
Frighten
And
him.
I'm older now,
I
and I'm
know.
not, and the old ticker just might. No, yeah, never mind.
Anyway, it's a pleasure to have you here, and we're doing a very special YouTube broadcast. Are you having fun?
I didn't come here to whine. So
Okay.
I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to complain and just sit here and whine like a big sissy. I'm not going to do it.
All right, well, don't do those things.
No.
You
Okay.
should be happy you're here amongst. Well, we've got some great lineup behind us.
If I was any
Haven't
happier,
seen Wolfgang in a
if
while.
I was any happier, it would be daylight.
Oh wow, that's how late I stay up sometimes. It's
Yes,
daylight. You
I've
know?
tried that, but
It's hard to do nowadays,
usually
isn't it?
Get
It
arrested
is.
for vagrancy. That's the problem.
I know. But then now
Anyway, what? Hello.
Oh, I don't know. I was going to ask you. Are you
Yes.
going to go see the new Dark Shadows movie when it comes out?
You bet I am. I'm going to see that one because I want to see. It looks to me like he lives very much in a place like sort of what I used to live in, except he was obviously the boss of his place.
Oh well,
Oh.
yes, he commanded the place.
Yes,
that's for
he
sure.
did.
Oh yes.
and I never. Well, I thought-
Unfortunately, this week we learned that Jonathan Frid passed on.
Yeah, isn't that
Barnabas
something?
has left the building.
That's awful. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yes,
that's
it
just
is. It's sad.
It's very sad.
bad timing.
Very sad.
Yeah.